Hello out there. We're on the air. We're early. We're freaking early. Hold on, let me get this shared and then we'll be really early. All right, see you on the zaps. I don't think anybody's going to be here today because usually we're about 14 minutes away from showtime today. But I have a meeting today at 9. So I want to show up early, still get the full hour in, and then sneak off to the meeting. So it's been a pretty quick morning, we'll say. I didn't have a chance to cover a lot of the news going on in the world. So pretty much what we're going to do today is we'll spend our first 10 minutes like usual. We'll do the mempool. We'll do the giveaway today, Bitcoin giveaway. We'll talk about a little bit of news maybe. I want to talk about a couple things. And then we'll head to the second part of the show for the private Q&A like we do every Wednesday. So today's going to be a little bit of a call to action, I guess, in a way. We have the black hat on, which means business. Black hat means business. I don't know if you guys noticed that before or not. It's dark here right now. Like the lighting now compared to a month ago is kind of depressing. But so I might have to get this ring light going here. Should we try it out? I don't want to mess anything up though. I need an extra USB port. Let's see. Let's try it out. Is this the right one? Hopefully you don't lose me. Feels kind of dark in here. I want to brighten it up. I need to be a little bit brighter. This is what you get. This is what you get on the daily Bitcoin journey. We got her. It looks a little bit better. Well, welcome to the daily Bitcoin journey. Again, this is going to be a little bit of an abbreviated show today. Probably half hour, maybe 35 minutes. We'll see how things are going. And then we're going to move over to part 2. So this is the daily Bitcoin journey. This is a show focused on actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners. We do the show every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. We've been doing it for almost a year now. I'll have to check. I think our very first show was November 17th, 2023. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today in terms of where we are in the cycle. And I did some thinking about this yesterday. I watched the Sailor video, by the way. Did anybody else have a chance to watch the Sailor video yesterday? It wasn't what I was expecting, to be honest with you. It got a little bit weird. Oh, I don't have a mouse anymore. We got the ring light. Okay, well, we're going to try this out today and see how she goes. What was I going to do there, though? Oh, I got to update this stream. What are we calling today's show? The opportunities in Bitcoin are coming. I need to change that. The current title doesn't make any sense. Or does it? I don't know. I'm not an English whiz. Okay, here we go, for a hump today. Okay, so we got my path to fires over there, zapped 100 sats. Thank you for that. The sats today are not going to the dogs or the Open Sats Fund. They're going to me. So if you want to get a hump in today, make sure to either press the like button or zap on zap.stream. I'd say your odds are much higher if you're zapping as opposed to likes, but still pretty good odds. I think if we looked at the odds of, or the data showing those who liked versus those who didn't like, those who zapped versus those who didn't zap, and their hump rate for Wednesdays, you'd see a difference. All right, we got Timber Crasher, the Bitcoin journeyman in the house today. We got our good buddy, James Bond. We got Cold Deck with an E. Duncan, another Bitcoin journeyman. We got Bodie on the road. Good morning, visionaries. We are visionaries in our own little way here. everybody watching the show is a visionary in their own mind, because you have to be able to see it. You have to be able to see where we're going to really buy into where we are today, and to dedicate your capital and your time and your energy to this new system. You have to have the vision to see where we're going to it. Gold Deck, yeah, I listened to it. Oh, the Sailor thing. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec. Johnny, good morning. Good to see you, my friend. And Daniel is here as well. Is Daniel on strictly YouTube today? That's a new one. We got Pasty Janner. Bonjour, bonnes, bonsi. I don't know. Is that French? Gotta be. Okay. So this is a little bit different today with no mouse. Who's the commenter on the mouse videos? They'll appreciate the show today. There's going to be no mouse. Although I might just mix them in for shits and gigs. Okay, let's start with the Sailor video because it's hot on the topic. So the Sailor video yesterday. What do we think about that? Well, I watched the whole thing actually. I was just doing different things throughout the day and listening to it. So I want to re-listen to it a couple times more before I form any real conclusions on it. But it seemed like there was a fair bit of friction there. And I don't know if Sailor was just having a bad day, or if Safe said something that triggered Sailor early on and he just kind of went down that same path the whole way. I think Sailor was just getting frustrated by the fact that Saifedean was, what would you even say he was doing? Sailor was accusing him of having different ideologies, saying that he's a socialist, saying that it should be a crime or something, or I forget what it was about. But anyways, my opinion on it as I was listening to it is I was kind of agreeing with Sailor. Like the things that Safe was saying didn't really make a whole lot of sense. And I don't know what his goal there was to try to argue with Sailor or to try to outsmart Sailor. But I've never really gotten good vibes from Saifedean. I like the book, Bitcoin Standard. I think he's done a lot of really good things in the Bitcoin space, but he just seems like a real, I don't know how to explain it. Very arrogant, I think. Not willing to be wrong about anything. That's kind of how I see it. And Sailor's the same way, but they're in two different levels. And I think that Safe was trying to keep up with Sailor in terms of his intelligence. And I think that Sailor got frustrated with that. Most people go on shows and ask Sailor questions. They try to probe different answers, get his thoughts on things. But it seemed like Safe was there for a different reason. And I might be looking too far into it, but that's how it felt to me. We got Letha over in Zap.stream. Morning, Letha. So anyways, I'm going to watch it again. I'm going to find a few different things to talk about on the show. Maybe tomorrow, maybe not. But if you haven't watched that interview yet, it's 2 hours long. It's kind of dramatic. It's kind of hard to listen to at times, but also I think it's good. You know, as Bitcoiners, we get along about it. A lot of things we agree on, a lot of things I wouldn't say circle jerk's the right word, but there's a lot of that within the Bitcoin space. It's good to see challenging different beliefs and challenging different ideologies, and especially two guys like that. So definitely worth the listen to. And that was kind of it too. Saifedean, he's a monarchist. I don't know what a monarchist is. I'm thinking that means like he wants a monarchy like we have now. But yeah, that was the overlying theme that I got from it, is that Safe was pretty much just living in this dream world. And I think a lot of people are there. And I actually talked about this on yesterday's show. I said there's a lot of Bitcoiners who think that Bitcoin is going to be the only thing that we use, and we're going to move into this utopia within the next 5 years, and everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows. And I just don't think that's the case. And I think a lot of people have to come to the hard reality that banks are going to exist for quite a while. Governments will exist for quite a while. But as Sailor said, like some of them will be early to catch on and they'll benefit, and some will be very stubborn and late to catch on and they'll pay for it. But we're not going to turn on the TV one day and somebody's going to tell us, oh, we moved to a Bitcoin standard, everything's great now. That's just not how it's going to go. There's going to be a lot of pain. There's going to be a lot of suffering. There's going to be people who benefit from it. And those people who are here now are going to be the ones who have the leverage in the future. It did sound like, to me, Saifedean, whether he understands it or not, was almost seeing a socialist world where everybody is equal and nobody has to take on debt because everybody's equal. It just didn't make sense to me. Sailors was much more of a capitalistic mindset, which is where I think we're going. I don't think we'll ever get away from that, and I don't think that we should. As he said, there's always going to be people who have more money, and there's going to be people who have less money, and those people are going to be needing money to borrow from the people with money, and that's the arbitrage there. Just because we have Bitcoin, that doesn't make that disappear. The only thing that's different there is the people who are lending, they aren't going to have the ability to print money. That's the difference there. That's what Bitcoin's going to provide. It has nothing to do with the ins and outs of the financial system. Not a whole lot's going to change, I don't think. Everything's going to be repriced in Bitcoin, but we're still going to have the same capitalist dynamic, which we need. We need that. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about it today. Definitely take some time and listen to that. James Bond says, stupid question. What's the difference between journeyman and living the future members? So the main difference is the journeyman. There's some people who are both, actually. So big shout out to them. But the journeyman is basically just like a full show every day. So in about 20 minutes from now, we're going to skip to the second part of the show for the private Q&A today. The journeyman will be able to access those videos, but they don't have access to like the community, Signal Chat, Discord, all that kind of stuff. So that's the main difference there. I would say if you're interested more in like the network side of things, growing a business, starting a business, meeting new people, getting help, talking about Bitcoin, helping other people to learn, then the living the future is definitely the play. I think Arnie has arrived. Hello. Arnie's here. All right. Now the show can go on. Bodhi says, is Safe's background and higher end as a prof? That answers it for me. Yeah, that's kind of, he does have some weird tendencies. I mean, he still sells this course for the fiat standard, I think, or the Bitcoin standard. He is still kind of a prof, I believe. Matt, good morning. Good morning. Emily says, how does Noster evolve from a Bitcoin circle jerk to something greater? I would say it already is. If you spend time on Noster and you've been there for a while and you've kind of curated your feed properly, there's Bitcoin talk on there, but that's honestly what I want. But there's a whole bunch of other stuff too on there. And I think smaller communities within Noster are going to form. I think there'll be a couple different clients to come out with more focused on communities and interest groups and building off of that. We're just not there yet, but lots is happening in the space. You okay? All right, he's doing his little. I'll get out of the way for a sec. See if he does it. Oh, what a crazy guy. Let's just watch Arnie for the whole show today. What was I going to do here? Oh, check the likes. Rick says, has everybody smashed the like? I hope so. If people are looking for a hump today, then hopefully they've, he's going to start barking here, I think. Sorry to those listening and not watching right now. Okay, so we got 25 people in here, only 10 likes. That's pretty sad. So we can do better than that. I feel like there's some people in here who are looking for a hump. Letha says it was a contentious interview. It really was. I mean, we need more of that, though. We need more people within Bitcoin to challenge each other with different stuff like that, because it isn't going to be all sunshine and rainbows. And we do have to figure out, we just need some adults in the room. Essentially, that's what it's going to take. And everyone's going to evolve at a different pace. People are going to get Bitcoin before others. Companies are going to get Bitcoin before others. Countries are going to get Bitcoin. Not everything's going to happen at the same time. And it's going to take a very long time for everybody to get there. And it might happen within our lifetime. It might not. But I think we need to get away from the whole utopia around Bitcoin where everything's going to be perfect. Everyone's going to be equal. It's just not the case. It's not the case. What do we got here? James Bond says, I'm a journeyman. Well, you're both. You're both. You get access to both. That's what the Living in the Future gets, the full shows and the community. Matt says the original vision of America with individual states forming a democratic republic is the way to go. I agree with that. That's America didn't become a superpower by accident. They saw what the world was like. They revolted against where it was going to. And it turned out to be this exactly, a republic. And we don't have that anymore. I don't even know if we have that in the US anymore, where each state gets to decide what to do, and takes a lot of power away from the federal government. They knew that 2,000 years ago, and it's still very true today. We need to go back to that. That's what America was built on. And I think if everybody around the world eventually evolves into that, we're going to be in a much better place. And it's going to take Bitcoin is going to be the tool that allows us to do that, because it takes away power from the centralized authorities. That's the key there with Bitcoin. It separates money from state. It removes the ability to create money. And it's not going to be totally equal among everyone, but the key there is that they don't have the ability to create money anymore. That's the whole thing. Once you take that away from them, everything will change slowly. But the way we do things, the way there's more people have some, other people have less, it's always going to be that way. And I think you're very naive if you believe otherwise. Sovereign individual, helpful to understand the mega political drivers of the various political systems. I've never read that book, but I've heard a lot of good things. I think that's going to be one on my list here going forward. Rick says your lighting different today. Yeah, I got a ring light here because it's so dark. It's 8:20. I mean, we started the show early today, but it's pretty dark here. Letha zapped 121 sats and Daniel zapped 121 sats, both on sats.gg. Daniel's on sats.gg. I was watching some shows yesterday on sats.gg. You can go on there and you can watch a show called, let me find it. It's probably on right now. No Good Radio. I throw that one on there sometimes when I'm working. It just has some good upbeat, kind of to get in the zone, I guess. Some zone time. I don't know. Arnie for president. Arnie would be a great president. I mean, I still believe that if you took a phone book and if you flipped to a random page and you went down the list and you picked one person on there, they'd do a much better job of the people that we've had historically, because they don't need that much power. You need it. The thing with government, and the reason why government's still around, is because they facilitated a lot of income tax receipts, and they decided where that's going to go to. They were the ones who facilitated that. But we really don't need that anymore. We have the technology now where you can almost do that just with, again, the technology that we have. You can cut probably 95% of the government. Holy. Arnie went on like a 2-week cold streak where he didn't want to be on the camera. Now he's right up close. All right. Well, I guess we're going to skip the mempool today because we talked too much about that. But we can't skip the giveaway. We can't skip the Bitcoin giveaway. I'm sure there's people who just show up for the Bitcoin giveaway and then leave. Oh, I was playing around with my new device yesterday, the Foundation Passport. I think I might do a video on it today. Kind of like a tutorial, but also just like a review on it. What's my password here? It's a pretty slick little unit. There's some things I like about it more than the cold card. Obviously, it'll be hard for anything to really outdo the cold card for me, but there are some things within it, and I didn't know that the Passport was actually a fork of the cold card, in terms of they just copied and pasted everything within it, and then that's why apparently that's why cold card moved from open source to closed source, because the Foundation, the Passport, was basically just the exact carbon copy of that. So the Foundation is still open source, cold card is not, but that's why. All right, let's give away some Bitcoin here. We're due for a big one. We're definitely due for a big one here. So get your phones out, get your Lightning wallet out, point it at the screen, and you got a chance to win some Bitcoin today. Do we have enough tosses for the rest of the month here? I don't know if we do. 7 tosses left. We got how many days? 3. No, we're going to need a top up. We're going to have to get in touch with the folks. Okay, why do I always click that? Okay, here we go. I'm going to have some coffee. 500 sats. But that's okay. I probably shouldn't hype it up as much, so the 500 sats doesn't seem like a big deal. But it is. 500 sats today. You hold on to those sats for a couple of years, you'll have at least $1. How much is 500 sats even right now? I'm still, okay, so somebody claimed it. That's good. See you later. So what I want to talk about here for the next 10 minutes-ish is the opportunities in Bitcoin. But before I do that, I wanted to point out one thing that I thought was really interesting, and I forgot to talk about this on the show yesterday. But I don't know if you listened to the stuff with Trump on Monday night, the World Liberty Financial. We did a pretty good breakdown of that on the show yesterday. But there was a time when Eric Trump was on there, and he actually seems like a pretty intelligent guy. I'm not going to lie. I was a watcher of SNL for a lot of years. I know, idiot. And they made him look like an absolute fool, like the dumbest guy ever. But he's actually pretty intelligent. Donald Jr. is kind of like the very out there, very almost too much for me, almost, rambunctious. But Eric Trump seems a lot more well-spoken. You can say what you want. I don't care. But there was something he said about Saylor in there. He said that he's known Michael Saylor for a lot of years. And to me, I don't know, that it kind of, they say things like that. I don't know if they just do it to tease people or as like a little, bait. But I'm very interested to know how long Trump, Saylor, that crew has known each other without being too public about it, and how that impacts Saylor's journey, how that impacts the Trump's journey to Bitcoin. There's something there. I think. And I forgot to mention it yesterday, but he said that he knew Saylor from way back. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do a little bit of digging on that and see what I can find. All right. So the opportunities today, this is kind of what brought me here, because it's September 18th today, September 18th. We're heading into the fall after the halving, which has historically seen some pretty significant jumps in terms of the fiat price of Bitcoin. And I think that there's a lot of people, including myself, who are getting a little bit run down. And we have to understand here where we are. We have to understand that in 2021, almost 4 years ago, the price was the same as it is today. The fiat price, which is pretty much how people measure everything, right? That's our main perception around Bitcoin is the fiat price. That's how we judge how well it's performing, which we shouldn't be. I think that adoption rate and hash rate are much more important metrics than fiat price. But that's kind of where we are right now. We're at a point in this cycle where we've just gone from 3.5 years of pretty much going down, slowly coming up, but being around the same spot, which is very frustrating when you spend every single day in Bitcoin, talking about Bitcoin, looking at the price, trying to find something to be, trying to get that feeling of like we're going up here, like we thought we were going to go. And we just have to understand that that's where we are right now. And on the other side of that is going to be mayhem. So if you're somebody in Bitcoin who's feeling that right now, like kind of not let down, but frustrated, why are we at 58K, 59K, 60K? Why have we been here forever? You have to understand that that's where we are in the cycle now. It's nothing new. And I think that this cycle is going to be much bigger than anybody can even imagine because of the ETFs, because now the big money's here. So just understand that that's where we are, and understand that the opportunities here are coming. And that's not just for the fiat price. There's no opportunity really in just having Bitcoin. Yeah, you have to do things with it. You have to earn Bitcoin. You have to build a network around Bitcoin. You have to take your time and your energy from that system and put it fully into Bitcoin. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about today in terms of like a call to action almost, is that if you've been in Bitcoin for a little while now, if you just got here, this might not be as applicable to you right now, but if you've been in Bitcoin for a while, now is the time where you need to really dial this thing in. Your security process, your earning of Bitcoin, you have to be finding ways to earn Bitcoin and growing your Bitcoin network. That's where we are right now. And I think that I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and it was with a guy that works at LB. And he said how lucky he was to get a job and how few Bitcoin jobs there are out there because of and I thought it's because we are where we are in the cycle right now. All of these Bitcoin companies, instead of hiring people, instead of trying to grow too fast or spending their reserves, they've been holding it in Bitcoin. And within the next 6 months to a year, that Bitcoin is going to be worth 2x, 3x, 5x. Who knows? But they're going to have a lot more leverage. They're going to have a lot more ability to spend money. And so they're going to be hiring. Also within that, there's going to be smaller businesses who have been holding Bitcoin that we don't even really know about. And all of a sudden, they're going to have a lot more reserve there. They're going to have a lot more ability to hire people. That's kind of what we're missing right now, is we're at the end of this cycle. People are waiting for it to jump up. So they're holding on tight to their Bitcoin. And then once it starts to move, they're going to either sell some of that or start hiring different people and paying them in Bitcoin to help push their business forward, because they're, especially businesses built in Bitcoin right now, Bitcoin focused companies who are selling products, exchanges, devices, anything around Bitcoin right now. If you're a business in Bitcoin, your leverage and your total net worth is going to explode over this next year. So people are going to be looking for help. They're going to be hiring. They're going to now have the ability that they've been storing for the last couple of years. They're going to be putting that to use to grow their company or just to keep up with the demand for it. So if you are somebody right now who's been in Bitcoin for a few years, listening to podcasts, really diving down the rabbit hole here, I want you to understand how much knowledge you have and how much that's going to be worth. Not so much today. It is worth a lot today, but you just don't have the people who are willing to pay you for that yet. But that knowledge is invaluable right now. So pretty much what I wanted to get out of this is that if you are somebody who's been here for a while, I want you to really just dive into it. Truly. Into the knowledge, into the network, finding ways to earn Bitcoin. Now is the time to be really dialing in on this thing. And so that's just the Bitcoin companies, but you also have to understand that every company on earth right now, when they see the price move and they see Michael Saylor's and Semler Scientific's and Metaplanet's, when they see the strategy working for them and how much they've accrued, Saylor talked about this at the very start of the show yesterday, but he said that the market cap of MicroStrategy, when they started the Bitcoin strategy, was 1.2 billion. Their market cap today, after one Bitcoin cycle, is 25 billion. So that's a 20x in 4 years. And so every single company, especially, I mean, the public companies are a little bit different. There's a lot more hoops to jump through there in terms of adopting the same strategy. But small businesses, business owners are smart people, and they're going to see that. And they're going to say, okay, he's buying Bitcoin, he's putting it on the reserve. He's increased his company's worth, the value, by 20x in 4 years. We need to do something like this. Our cash in the bank account is buying less and less every year. And so every company on earth is going to come to this realization, and they're going to be hiring people like me, like you, as their Bitcoin head of Bitcoin strategy. Think about how many companies are out there who are going to be doing this. I know it's easy to think in day to day and only see what's in front of us here. And that can be frustrating and kind of feel like you're running in circles a bit. But you have to understand where this is going, not too far away. So Bitcoin companies are going to be hiring. Companies who already hold Bitcoin are going to be hiring. Companies who don't have Bitcoin yet are going to be hiring somebody to help them with Bitcoin. Plus the network. The network's a big one. All of a sudden you're going to have a bunch of Bitcoiners here. I'm going to use our Living the Future community as an example. There's going to be people in there who have been thinking about this for a year or two now. They've been wanting to start a business, but they've been holding on to their Bitcoin instead. And so all of a sudden they see their net worth double, triple, 5x, and they're going to start a business, and they're going to be looking for people to partner up with. If you have a skill that I don't have, I'm going to want to work with you. And because we're both Bitcoiners, we're going to know that we have that in common. And we're going to be working towards an underlying goal there together. So what you need to be doing is looking for these opportunities, preparing yourself for it and looking for these opportunities, because they are coming and we're not too far away from that. So what I would challenge you to do today is two things. Number one, make damn sure that whatever Bitcoin you have right now is well protected. If you've been thinking about it, if you've been thinking about getting a cold card, a Jade, a passport, if you've been putting that off, if you've been putting off getting help from people for it to get it set up, do that now. And take it one step further and make sure that if something were to happen to you tomorrow, your family's going to know what to do with your Bitcoin. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. It's probably about a 6-month process, I would say, in terms of setting that all up. It takes time, it takes some money, it takes some energy to do that. And a lot of people don't really have that right now. So take it slow, take it over 6 months. But the one thing that you can do today is just create a 1-page document. Do this today. I'm serious. Because there are going to be people in the world, and there might even be people who watch the show, where something's going to happen to them and they've just been putting it off because that's what we do as humans. We just procrastinate unless anything's urgent. And something's going to happen and their family's going to have no clue what to do with their Bitcoin. And that's such a waste of life. It really is. Because the whole point of this is we want to take our time, energy, capital, store it in a very, very powerful battery. But if nobody can get access to that, then it's going to sit there forever, which is a complete waste. So get a 1-page document. Write down, if something were to happen to me today, this is what you do. This is where to look. This is the process of it. Take it one step further and actually walk them through it. But in terms of just doing the lowest hanging thing here that you can without any sort of friction, Just create a one-page document. And if you want to, I've said this several times on the show before, but just say, if something were to happen to me, email Jor 88sats@proton.me. He'll be able to help you. And then right underneath that, in bold, maybe all caps, say, under no circumstances is he, or whoever you're asking to help, but we're going to use me as an example here. Under no circumstances is he ever going to need access to your private code, the private key, 12 words. These are the 12 words. Under no circumstances will he ever need these, or anybody else. If anybody asks for these, they're trying to rip you off, so run away. So tell people where they can get help from, but make sure to clarify the fact that whoever's helping them, they will never need their private key. They can help without the private key. So that's one. That's a call to action. Do that today, because you're going to regret it. And you never know what's going to happen. This life's fucking crazy. So don't put it off any longer. That's number one. Number two is keep at it. Keep learning as many different topics as you can within Bitcoin. If you want to really dial in, if you're very interested in a certain subset of Bitcoin, like mining, like Bitcoin strategy, like helping businesses get set up either as a reserve or to accept Bitcoin. If you want to dial in on something, that's fine. But you can just be a generalist too within Bitcoin. So really dial in on that and find yourself a network. Because when this happens and the networks have already been formed and you're trying to get into it, whether that's on Noster, whether that's a community like Living in the Future, you're going to have, you need some time in there. Just like Bitcoin, you need some proof of work. You're not going to join a network and all of a sudden people are going to want to work with you. You have to join them now. You have to get a rapport for yourself. You have to add value to people, and you have to position yourself in a way where if the opportunity is there, people are going to reach out to you. And you have to put yourself in those positions if you want to, right? This is the assumption that you're wanting to earn Bitcoin. You're wanting to work with a Bitcoin company. You're wanting to help other businesses get set up with Bitcoin and hold their reserves in Bitcoin. Assuming that, if that's not of any interest to you, then ignore this. And to build businesses in Bitcoin and to start different ventures, if that's what you want, make sure you join some sort of network or community within Bitcoin. There's the Orange Pill app. I haven't had any sort of success with it, but within our Living in the Future community, that's what I would point to. Because there's a level of trust there already. There's people who have been there for 6 months now. They know each other. Somebody says something stupid, they get called out for it. Somebody needs help, they get help. And you want to do that today. You don't want to wait for everything to play out and then you're the guy or girl trying to start relationships at that time. So get into it now. Take this stuff seriously, because the opportunities are going to be there. You just have to put yourself in the positions where you can find them. And you have to build that. You have to go through the proof of work, build that up to have people who are going to be reaching out to you when that time comes. So I very much apologize for I'm about 100 comments behind here. I don't know what to do about that. But what I will say is, if you're wanting to catch the second part of the show, it's going to be kind of short, but just join. Even if you're not going to watch the end of the show today, join the network, start positioning yourself, and be ready for these opportunities, because they are coming. So Bitcoin Journeyman, that's a YouTube option. You're going to get every full show. That's going to, grow your Bitcoin knowledge. But if you want to be part of this whole thing, if you want to be on the wave that's rising with Bitcoin, if you want to have a piece of that, join the network, join some sort of network. I would suggest Living in the Future. You just go to the show notes. The second one down says Living in the Future, join there. You get added to the Signal chat, which is kind of like a live, this just happened. What's going on? Or immediate help. I'm doing this. Can somebody help me? And then there's the Discord channel where we kind of just store our resources. So there's a whole bunch of different subset channels in there. I'll maybe just read some out here. I don't think the group will care very much, but this is kind of like the structure of the Discord, and big shout out to AD for building this, because it's very useful and valuable. So there's Noster Connect, where everybody has their npubs in there. Everybody can follow each other. Any requests, like if you're trying to promote something and you want people to help you out with it, You can say, please share this post, or if anybody shares this, I'll zap you 1,000 sats. There's Bitcoin General, Bitcoin Mining, Bitcoin Walls, Bitcoin Nodes, Bitcoin Help, Lightning, OPSEC for privacy, resources. We got introductions where everybody gives a bit of a background on themselves, business and finance, entrepreneurship, ideas, healthy living, book club, programming, the arts, memes, quotes, music, feedback. So take this stuff seriously. You have to be right now. If that's what you want, it's there. It's already built. It's waiting for people like you who are watching the show. That's what it is. It's just a bunch of people who are working towards one common goal, trying to get through this whole thing together without too much pain, but also looking for the opportunities and understanding what's coming here in Bitcoin. So that's what I challenge you for today. And I see Mavs over in the Zap stream and Plunger. So Plunger Zap 210 sats. Thank you, my friend. We got a couple people getting a hump in today from the Zaps. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any more. There we go. Okay, so let me quickly buzz through this, and then I'll give you a couple minutes. If you're wanting to join that, you can do that right now. And again, I apologize for missing some comments here. Johnny says, do we still have phone books? I don't know. I don't have any phone books in this house, but Dan says, don't we all just show up to leave? That's a deep question. Warren Brennan, 500 sats is 41 cents Canadian. There we go. So in a year from now, you might have $1. Bodie says, don't underestimate Trump's knowledge of Bitcoin. I think he actually knows more than he's letting on. 100%. Thank you for that. 100%. He knows more than what he's talking about. All you have to do is just look around. Just look around at who surrounds him. 2015, he had his number one guy, General Flynn, tweeting about Bitcoin, saying it's the currency of the future. In 2015, almost 10 years ago, his number one guy was tweeting about Bitcoin. His wife wished Satoshi happy birthday on Twitter. His wife, years ago. All of his kids are in Bitcoin. He said Barron has 4 wallets, which I thought, is 4 wallets supposed to be a stretch? Because you don't want to know how many different wallets I have. But 100%. And if they knew Sailor way back when, I just feel like there's so much more here that we don't know about going on. And the other part of that too is that Trump, he wrote a book called The Art of the Deal. And so he understands, what's that based off of? The art of war. And there's so much strategy within not only getting to that level within business, but within politics. You have to know what you're holding and what to talk about. Oh, there's lightning here. You have to appear weak when you're strong. And I think that Trump really, really understands that. And it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for him to come out and say that he has a bunch of Bitcoin, or that he's, business people, smart people don't do that. They buy it first and then tell you, whether it's for him or for his country. I think that there's so much more behind that. So thank you, Bodie, for pointing that out, because I believe the exact same. Okay. Well, maybe we're just going to spend the next 10 minutes here as a full show, because we got to cover this. Trump's scam coin. He's lost a lot of support from the Bitcoin community with his latest move. I guess most of us start down that path before we fully understand Bitcoin. I disagree with that fully. I think that there's a few people within the Bitcoin community who have a very big voice, who have very obvious Trump derangement syndrome. I think Walker is one of those guys. I'm not going to say anything bad. I just can't. I can't with that guy. But what I'll say on that is, it's not a scam coin. It's not. If you understand corporate governance, it'd basically be like Trump's starting a business. He's selling some shares for the business, and that's what the shares are. Instead, though, they're actual tokens. And so he's trying to show the fact that we're moving from the system of issuing shares in that system, that way of doing things, into this new financial system, digital, backed by Bitcoin, digital financial system. And it would be the exact same thing. It's a governance token. So if you want to have a say in terms of how this World Liberty Financial goes in the future, what you want to see, you can buy a token. It's not something that you're going to buy and sell or trade around like a high frequency kind of thing. That's not what it is. It's if you want governance within the company, and I'm not going to defend them. You also have to understand that there are going to be different cryptos out there. That's something a lot of Bitcoiners have a very hard time coming to terms with. We talked about it at the start of the show. There are going to be stable coins. Countries are going to have currencies. But the key here is that it's going to be backed by Bitcoin. And anything that isn't backed by Bitcoin is going to trend to zero against Bitcoin. So the coin to me is nothing. It's a big nothing burger. It's what they're actually doing. They're trying to get rid of the old system, get rid of the banks, go around that system. And we have the tools now to do that. So it's not like they're coming out with a coin and saying, this is better than Bitcoin, or this competes with Bitcoin, or this does this on the blockchain. No, it's strictly a governance token. It's exactly what you'd do if you were starting a company. You'd issue shares to people. You'd issue 20% to your friends, your family, to your people who have got you to that point, who have helped with their time, and you'd sell the rest if you wanted to, or you'd keep 100% of them if you didn't want anybody else voting for it. People just haven't taken the time and understanding to figure out what the hell's going on here. And it's a little bit frustrating to me, but at the same time, we're going to see it play out. So it doesn't really matter what my opinion on it is. It's tough to see somebody call that a scam coin when it's clearly not. He didn't come out and say this is going to be better than Bitcoin. We're going to use this instead of Bitcoin. It's going to be backed by Bitcoin. The whole company is going to be backed by Bitcoin. And they're going to be able to issue loans to people who can't get them today because the old system fucking robbed them of that. Emily says, do you think SAOR could be a plan for us, a U.S. intelligence agency? I do think that there's more to SAOR than what meets the eye. Do I think it's bad? No. How could what he is doing right now be bad? He's straight up said publicly that he has no heirs. He has no kids, no wife. Any Bitcoin that he has is going to be put back to the Bitcoin community. And yes, until that actually happens, we can question it. But like, if that's his driving force, and you could hear that in his interview yesterday too. He said his mission here is to get as many people on Bitcoin, to have access to Bitcoin. That's his mission. He's not worried about the banks. He's not worried about all this other crap. He's worried about that. And so, yes, I do think that there's more to him than we know, but I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it could be a good thing. And Johnny says, yes, Trump's uncle was a big shot at MIT. And if you look at the connections to MIT and Bitcoin and Trump and Saylor and Tesla, you might have a better understanding of what's really going on here. And there's a reason why people have Trump derangement syndrome. There's a reason why people have Bitcoin derangement syndrome. Is because the people who don't want that to happen have the ability to manipulate people's minds and only show them bad things. You could see 100 hours of Trump interviews and you could get behind what he's saying. You understand that he wants peace, he wants it to be fair, and he wants to destroy the old system. 100 hours of that. And he says one thing wrong, people take it out of context. They blast that over the news for the next 2 weeks, and that's all people have about Trump in their brains. They don't watch anything else. And it's the exact same with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been going for 861 fucking thousand blocks, and nobody understands what it even is. And so when the media comes out, when one bad thing happens, they blow it up out of proportion. They put their own spin on it, and that's all most people see about Bitcoin. So I understand why people have Trump derangement syndrome and Bitcoin derangement syndrome, but that doesn't mean that it's right. Doesn't mean that it's true. Dan Pena or Dan Pena, whatever his name is, says Bitcoin is a Russian creation to destroy the West. He doesn't understand Bitcoin. He doesn't understand that. How could it destroy the West? I don't know. It doesn't matter. The thing about Bitcoin, it doesn't matter who created it. The only thing that would matter if we knew who created Bitcoin is they would have somebody to go after. They, as in the people who want to see Trump gone, Bitcoin gone, freedom gone, sovereignty gone. Those people. Whoever created Bitcoin, there's no way that they could have created it for a bad reason. There's not. And once you get to that point of understanding, you realize that, you know what, maybe there are good people working here, and maybe Bitcoin is a tool to actually make change, because that's the key. The key to all of this is having something to measure everything against that cannot be manipulated, that cannot be created, to take that control away from people. That's what Bitcoin is. Do I listen to Bixweir? I did listen to Bixweir for quite a while, and I don't anymore. He's too stuck in his ways. He's too headstrong, not willing to listen to anybody or change his mind on anything. Too much. He doesn't. I don't know. Yeah, we'll leave that for today. I do have to thank him though, because he initially got me into crypto, which led me here. Yes, exactly. There are good people in the CIA for sure. JFK wanted to break up the CIA, so does Trump, I believe. 100%, 100%. Okay, so this, whatever. We're 52 minutes in. I got to go in 5 minutes. We're just going to be doing the full show on YouTube today. That's okay. I do want to give a shout out to Duncan. He's zapped 1,000 sats, so he's definitely getting a hump in today. I do have to top up this balance though on Zapstream. Just give me a sec. All right. Some days you win on Zapstream. Some days you lose a little. But over time, just like anything, if you're going the right direction, that's what you want. Yeah, so this is a great point, and this goes back to what Bixweir's been saying about silver. We've been talking about gold and silver prices going crazy for many years, all controlled prices. Exactly. It's all paper. It's all paper. And when you have the ability to, they can create silver, they can create gold, not only by bringing it out of the ground, but by just making IOUs for it. I'm sure that 90% of, or maybe more, of the gold and silver markets are just fucking paper. Which, yeah, I mean, if you can do that, then you can manipulate the whole system. You can control the price, and you can use that to control other aspects of the system. It's truly a sickening system that we live in right now. Not only for that manipulation, but for not only inflation, not only taxation, but like extorting other countries in order to keep our prices down and to keep people's eyes off of what's really going on here. They have to extort other countries like Africa, like China, like Taiwan. Like, we extort these countries for cheap labor, so our products are cheaper. So people aren't asking too many questions about why everything is shit but costs way more. It all ties together, and it is so evil. But the good news is with Bitcoin that it changes everything, and it's going to happen over time. It's going to take a while, but yeah, you can't die. Well, I don't have any plans on dying, but you never know. You never know. That's the thing about life, is that things happen when you least expect them to. Sorry. I'm way behind in these comments here. I'm kind of talking to myself a little bit. James Bond says, tell me what he's doing with the crypto project. Well, I talked about it a little bit. I think I'm just behind here. Emmett says, I like Walker. He says he doesn't like either party. Yeah, and that's fine. But like the reasons that he gives for not liking Trump are just so biased, and so it's like he's a member of CNN essentially. Like he'll take whatever Trump says and spin it in a way to try to get a bunch of engagement. There's a few people on Twitter like that who are, and I don't know if Walker's one of them or not, but I just don't get great vibes from him. You don't have to like either party, but you have to understand that we're still in that system. And maybe your vote will matter, maybe it won't matter. But I don't think the play is just to sit back and let our world here be destroyed for another 4 years just because your certain belief doesn't think that either party could do it. Just look at what happened when Trump was in power. Yes, he printed a bunch of money. Yes, asset values were high. But he did everything for America. Everything was America first. Wouldn't you want that? So, and he's fucking Bitcoin favorable. Like, I don't know what more you could ask from a guy. So to say that you don't like either party, whatever, but clearly one is good and one is pure evil, and one is going to help us, maybe, and the other is obviously going to hurt us. So if you have those two options there, just pretending to be like this big superhero that you don't care about either party, like, no, you have to care a little bit here. It's important. So I just think his message is wrong. Charlie Dunn, you're sounding like one of these deranged Trump tards. Okay, thanks. I'm not even going to entertain that. You clearly are on the other side of that, and we don't see eye to eye in that at all. So, okay, I got 1 minute here. I went on a little bit too long. Thank you to Cold Deck for 69 sat zap. Much appreciated. And I think that's it. Exactly. Trump is free speech. I showed a tweet yesterday that said, regardless of whether you think the crypto token's a scam or not, one side wants free speech. One side wants to end the banking system. One side wants freedom of body, like the one wanted mandates, one didn't. Like, it's not hard to see. Whatever you believe in, it doesn't matter, but you can clearly see here that there's good and there's evil. So I don't really care what you think about the coin. I don't care about it either. It's irrelevant. If it adds no value, if they don't hold Bitcoin, it'll go to zero. So it's not going to hurt or help Bitcoin at all. And you never know. Maybe it turns out to be good. Sorry, cheese balls. I got to go. It's 9 o'clock. My meeting starts in now. So good show today. I'm glad we got to talk some things out. That was a record amount of comments, probably a record amount of people in the chat today. So I'm glad. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for the zaps. Don't be afraid to click the like button on the way out. Don't be afraid to send a zap on the way out, and we'll see you right back here first thing tomorrow morning. Have some hope. There's going to be a lot of great things coming here, and the more you dial into it, the more you commit to doing this and understand where we're going, the better off you're going to be. So we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.